Safe.
It's our first time with the whole.
Right.
place
I
filled,
know.
like over
Wow.
a year. Or so.
Yeah.
This is your legacy as you leave here.
My legacy.
You have a full commission. now.
Yes.
That's great.
Built your dream team and now you're leaving.
Did you say that again, please?
Yeah, I built your dream.
I love that. Great picture. You guys did. I'd like to call to order a special meeting of the Guadalupe Recreation Park Commission meeting, Thursday, November 16th, 2023. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Chair Joseph Harris,
Present.
Commissioner Enrique Ortiz,
Present.
Commissioner Emily Drilling,
Present.
Commissioner Michael Jimenez,
Here.
Commissioner Arnulfo Navarro. Yay.
At this time, we'd like to move to the pledge allegiance, and maybe your news would like to lead us in the pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of
the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Community participation forum. Mr. Mayor, you wish to speak at this time, or?
No, I'll
you're
hold
gonna-
my comments.
You're gonna hold it. He's writing down some more notes. Let's go to consent calendar. The following items are presented to the commission without approval or discussion as a single agenda item in order to expedite the meeting. Should a member of the Recreation and Parks Commission wish to discuss or disapprove an item, it must be dropped from the blanket motion of approval and considered as a separate item. Item A, approved minutes of the Recreation and Parks Commission regular meeting October 3rd, 2023. We're looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion, a second.
I'll second.
Motion, second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Approved. Thank you. Item number 5, introduction of new commissioner, Arnulfo Navarro the third.
If you wanna give a little background on yourself,
So I didn't consider mine.
you don't have to.
Okay.
This will pick you up.
Okay, perfect. A little background about me. I'm lived in Guadalupe pretty much all my life. Grew up actually playing sports with these gentlemen here, teaching me, bringing me up, and so it's just like it's a big opportunity for me. I'm really grateful to be in this position with the people on the council. It's really nice to have things be lining up, and I feel like with my experience of although I will say little experience because I'm only 27, but within that, it's just like I'm excited to be a part of this and to see where it goes, how far I could push in, what influence that I could bring to it. I really care about this community and really want to see this community grow. So yeah.
All right, thank you.
He's already been involved in a couple of things if you guys weren't already aware. He's the one that kind of, for the most part, set up and ran the Dia de los Muertos thing that we did. And then also the trunk or treat at Mackenzie, and the poetry jams. So he has a lot of stuff going already.
I'm going to ask if you have poetry poem for this moment.
Do you on the spot?
Give him a minute. Special here. Actually,
Next month, don't worry.
Yeah.
Not to mention it.
Yeah. Can we turn this mic up?
Drop the mic.
Well, welcome.
Yeah, welcome.
After that, we have item number 6, Boys and Girls Club.
So as you guys know from the last time that they came, they're under a new club director. I think he's just been like really not overwhelmed, but I think he just has had a lot going on in the transition. I have been corresponding with him over email, so he has been getting back to me on any questions and things that I have. But I'll follow up with him. And I think again, like he had accepted the regular meeting invitation that was supposed to be the first Tuesday. So I think it just probably threw him off. But I'll ask for the update for this last month and I'll email it to all of you guys afterwards.
Thank you. Item number 7, Recreation Services Manager position update.
So we had 2 interviews back in September with a gentleman and a lady that the gentleman was out of Texas, I believe, and the lady was here locally, not specifically in Guadalupe, but I believe her father-in-law lives in Pasadena. So I think after we do tomorrow's interview, which is with a new candidate, I'll follow up with Amelia, but I think the intention was to either do like a whole second round to kind of refresh on the 2 that we had, and then do a second one with this next individual if we feel like she's a good candidate moving forward. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that was the idea. All 3 of them, obviously I haven't been in the first interview with this new candidate, but just from her resume even, all 3 of them look like they're really good candidates. So Mr. Mayor was a part of the first 2, and I believe he'll be there tomorrow as well. So and in terms of my last day technically was supposed to be yesterday, but I did
free today, huh?
yeah. No, it's extra. I'm gonna put down in the minutes, Mayor said I get extra pay. No. I did an addendum to my resignation. So basically the whole reason why I gave such a long amount of time before I like officially resigned was to have somebody on board and to have time to train them and maybe do like, even if it's a small event, just do like one little thing with them to kind of get them going, get the momentum going. And then especially do a Rec and Park Commission meeting together. So that way they get the gist of what to do, how to set it up, like the technical stuff too. So I'm hoping that with the timing of everything, it might have to be a special meeting in addition to our regular meeting. I'll have to see how that pans out in terms of like with holidays coming up and everything, that might be hard. I don't know. It's just going to depend on how long it takes for everything to go through. Because even with doing like background checks and stuff, it doesn't take too long, but it's at least like a week before, even once you do the conditional offer of employment, it still takes like a week before they even actually like are here. So I'll keep you guys up to date once let me make notes so I don't forget. Once I find out if we're doing a second round of interviews or not, I will let you know that. And then of course, whoever does get chosen, I will update you on that as well. And then the time frame after that time. So that's going to be something that once this person is here physically, I'll meet with that person and then Todd, and then if the mayor wants to be involved also, to kind of figure out a timeline of like how long they think is the right amount of time, because I don't want to like linger too long, but I also don't want to just be here for like a week and then be like, okay, bye, good luck. So that'll be a discussion that we'll probably have, but of course I'll keep you guys up to date. So it's kind of all I had for that.
You need us to do anything, let us know.
Sure.
For that, you know, do I speak for everybody? If you
Yes.
need help, let us know.
Let us know.
Let the
We're happy to
commission know.
help.
Sounds
I
good.
guess we're all in read it.
And then that moves us to,
Item number 8.
yes.
Sure.
O'Connell Turf. Yeah, baby.
All right.
The next room.
So for the Jack O'Connell revitalization Field of Dreams for our newest member is what we were calling it. But I wanted to take the opportunity to give everybody an update on what our current status is on this project. Sorry, Enrique, I know you've heard me talk about this so much. I feel bad.
I don't get tired of it. No, it's not.
So on here, I wanted to just go through where I'm at currently, just especially for our newest member to give everyone a refresher. Back in April, after our RERC commission, which I know you were there as well for the T-Day workshop. One of the big things that came out of that was that we want the opportunity to improve our sports field. We want the opportunity to be able to have recreation, not only football, but expand soccer, various different other aspects, as well as improve our track conditions as well. So that's an amenity for our community. So I started looking at what is our resources that are available to us to potentially bring that field from its current state, which is, you know, a pretty sad state right now with the current gopher situation out there, to be able to elevate that to what is industry standards, which is artificial turf at this point in time. So that was in April. May, I brought that to the commission to ask, you know, what are our thoughts as a commission? Then in September, brought that to city council to determine if that was something that they would be supportive of me looking into. And then over the last several months, really about the last 2 months, I've been putting together all of the research, our proposal, and what is our footprint here in Guadalupe look like, and what grants were we actually eligible for, and starting to move forward with that. So actually, as of this week, we're submitting for our first grant, which is just shy of $2 million. So I'll talk a little bit more about the proposal, and then I'll give you more of an update on what is our current status at this point in time. So this information is not new to anybody here at the table, what our current population is here in the city of Guadalupe. But as I'm talking to outside individuals and different grants, I'm really trying to highlight a little bit about our population, that it does make us very unique. One thing that is very unique for our city is that we do have roughly about 37% of our population as of our last census is under the age of 18. So that's something really wanting to highlight. And then also the sports history that does exist here in Guadalupe with the Guadalupe Hall of Fame, Sports Hall of Fame, the Bulldogs program, our K-8 schools as well, sponsoring various different sports. And then wanted to highlight as well our Parks and Recreation Commission, that we were up and moving and doing some really great stuff over the last year. So next slide. This information is more just pulling some of the analysis from our census data. So some of it, these are demographic information that does actually make us very desirable to different grant sources. So highlighting some of the pieces of information on here. One of the things on a lot of these grants, they talk about, you know, what is considered a disadvantaged community. I don't necessarily like that word. I don't feel like Guadalupe is disadvantaged. I feel like we're underserved. And so that's something that I'm really trying to highlight on here, is that this is our starting point, but as we continue to invest in our community through various different grants and other initiatives, these numbers, especially things like high school completion rates, individuals at the poverty line, individuals without health insurance, hopefully over time, these are things that we're going to be able to see improve. But this is something that as we look at different funding opportunities, being able to highlight some of our components, such as our age under 18, as well as our community under the poverty line, are things that does open up funding opportunities for us as well. So on here, what I like to demonstrate when I'm talking to different individuals about our city is really trying to demonstrate that even though we are in the greater Santa Maria area, it's not like you drive down the street a half mile or 2 miles and you have resources and information right there. We are about 17 minutes, as you know, from the nearest city with over 100,000. Also looking at the distance to our closest track and field facilities. So for the Bulldogs, we've been playing at Rigetti. It's beautiful out there, but it's also not home. It's, you know, an opportunity that we get to have a lot of individuals drive out there, but that our kids don't have the opportunity to play here in their own backyard. And then also, you know, just going up to Napomo or Orcutt, it is still a significant drive for individuals, especially when gas has been over $5 to $6 a gallon. Trying to highlight on here, as I have been speaking with different funding sources, is that this is an inconvenience, but also a financial hardship for some of our families for accessing recreational opportunities. So this information is what I've presented to our city council. talking about what does our city want, and a lot of that was captured in the RERC 2-day planning session, as well as the final RERC report, is that despite having a beautiful 15-acre facility, over the last 8 years, there have been growing concerns over the condition of the sports field. So I did a lot of research looking at what has been done currently, looking at back in 2018, some youth actually from the Guadalupe Bulldogs came to city council and brought up their concerns over the field back then. Some of the city's initial budget issues over the last several decades had also kind of contributed to that. So while we opened the field in, I think, what was it, 2008 was when it was originally put together.
Yes.
The maintenance of it over the years, it has not been set up for success, really based on the Gophers, the lack of maintenance, and absolutely at no fault of anybody's. It is just a lot of property to maintain on a very small budget. And so what we were able to hear through the community, through the RERC, is that people want that facility to be usable. They want it to be safe. They want it to be well lit, and they want it to be an opportunity for kids as well as adults in our community to be able to get out and recreate. So next slide here. Just a time history of Jack O'Connell's history. Actually, I found a picture of you, Mayor. I must have been at that cleanup as well, but this was the community cleanup that happened in 2018. The left portion does show the current condition of some of the field as well. There's some great parts of the field, and then there's also other areas of the field that do have, as you can see from here, just a lot of gopher burrows, if that's the right word, exact whole mansions, whatever they're calling it now. But it gives you an idea of where we're at currently. So 2018, the park opened, the city budget crisis that had expanded from, that time period to 2015 impacted its ongoing efforts to maintain the field. Youth petition to the city council in 2018 is where that picture came in. And then looking at the ongoing water cost and maintenance, when you take the amount of property is there and take a look at how much it's costing us to water, then you take in staff, then you take in equipment, depreciation. It's costing us a lot of money in order to maintain a property that's not necessarily extremely usable. So that is one of the big things on the California Urban Greening Grant, is that not only would we be able to bring our facility up to a really nice standard, but we would be able to reduce a significant cost to the city by no longer requiring an individual to be out there mowing or watering. And the cost to be able to maintain the turf is actually extremely minimal. If we're able to buy the equipment that is proposed in this grant, it would only cost us about $10,000 a year, as opposed to what it's currently costing with water and everything else included. Slide. This is just a little bit more of a recap, again, talking about the difference between turf, artificial turf, grass, how long it lasts for, a lot of benefits associated with it, but being able to preserve the natural resource of water, being able to improve our facilities once and for all, combat the gophers, and then also the ability to bring some of our revenue back to the city. So right now, on just thinking specifically at our Bulldog weekends, tons of individuals descending on Rigetti in order to participate in those tournaments. Or those games over the course of all day, being able to bring some of those individuals back to town if we were able to host games here again in the future and help drive business to our downtown businesses as well. Here is just a quick track on a lot of research most people will agree on, is that active youth do better in life. I think this graphic is especially important for the city of Guadalupe, because we are a community that people live here as kids, they stay here as adults, and they are still here as seniors as well. And so if we can invest in that early stage, by the time people are, retired into the later years of their life, if we can help improve their quality of life and their health, these are things that we would be really great for our community, especially. And then also, as you think back to that first slide, talking about improved test scores, high school graduation rates, all of the things that can make our kids more successful. Recreation does aid to that. So trying to highlight on here that this would not only benefit the youth of our community, but over time, it would benefit all of our community. A little bit more on the cost estimate here. Won't go into that one in too much detail, but next slide, please. So one thing on here I did want to highlight is that while I'm talking a lot about kids and some of the recreational opportunities, really being able to show that it is multi-generational benefit to our community. So we have the ability to bring more sports to our community that would obviously benefit our kids. But also seniors and adults. I know when Hannah started up the softball league that had a lot of adults. The first year, I think it doubled in size the second year. So that's a strong indicator that we do have adults in our community that want to get out, want to get healthy, and want to be able to participate in recreation. And then also for our senior community as well. I know there is some things that are going on with seniors right now. I think they're doing line dancing and a few other activities here in town. But that if you're a senior and you're on a fixed income to drive to the YMCA or some of the other places, it is an added cost, and that not every community in Guadalupe does have sidewalks for seniors to walk on, and some of the sidewalks are not always perfectly maintained. There's some leveling issues and things like that as well. And then especially speed as drivers are going through as well, the opportunity to have our seniors be able to come out to a track. If you are a parent pushing a stroller and just want that safe place as well, it would be another opportunity to bring this to our community. And then that last bullet there is looking at our businesses. And so, as I mentioned previously, being able to bring some of that revenue back to our community, that's one of the things that I really heard in the RERC planning and also in the report that was generated afterwards, is that residents of our community want the ability to have the economy grow, but that we don't want to lose what is Guadalupe. We don't want it to become this huge city that all of a sudden is no longer all the things we love about it. So how do we bring those dollars into our community and ensure that we keep the charm that we have here locally? So the next slide talks about the economic impact. So running some initial numbers here, looking that for our tournaments, just thinking specifically Bulldogs, and I guess I'm using the word tournament, should be game. We have several thousand participants come over the course of an all day. Those people are coming from all over for these games. Typically for Bulldog weekends, we host 4 different games. And so thinking about, even if we could get 1,000 individuals, which would be, anywhere from a quarter to maybe 50% of the people that are coming into town, to spend $20 at a local business, that could be at food, going to the Dune Center, even just filling up their gas tank. This is an opportunity for us to be able to really take a lot of money that would be coming into our community and help really revitalize some of our businesses downtown that might not always get all of that footprint traffic. And so looking at one sporting event per month over the course of 12 months could essentially generate us almost $250,000. As we look at those projections over the course of 2 years or more, or 2 years and then on down to 5 years, 10 years, this could be a potential for millions of dollars of individuals coming to town to be able to spend money here locally while they're here. So there's definitely a strong economic benefit, as well as we can improve our conditions to bring people out to the city. The proposal request, so this is where I'll kind of transfer a little bit more to what I've currently done so far. So I have been working with the Townsend Group. That's the grant organization that is on contract with the city. And so they've been a really great resource in order to work with. But where I think the commission and being able for me to work with them is really important is they can read numbers, they can know systems, they're very skilled writers, but they don't know the story of the city in the way that we do. They don't know all of the things that go into the Bulldogs. They don't know all the things about all the, organizations that are a part of our city. And so I was able to work back and forth with that grant writer to put together quite a few documents that were required in order to put together what do we actually need, not just what do numbers say that we need. And so for the urban greening grant, which would be our first grant that we are putting forward, it was just shy of $2 million. And so that would be an artificial turf for the football area, a 6-lane track that would go around the entire field as well, all new LED lights, as well as where the playground is currently kind of also fallen victim to the gopher issues. It would be pour in place surface underneath that. And so what that would do is it would protect a child from a 5-foot fall. And then it would also put a shade shelter parasail thing over a portion of it as well, so that for families as they're playing out there on the park or maybe waiting for a sporting event to end, they would have some reprieve from the sun as well. So that would be what would be included in that initial 2 million. I know there's been a lot of talk about how much more can we do. We've talked about the softball field, talked about renovating the restrooms, the press box, score box. There's a lot of things. And so I think we have to think about it in various different phases. This is going to be phase 1, but just know that I'm really committed to continue writing for this. And so I want to be able to make this happen. And so this will be start 1 of what will hopefully be many grants that are going to continue to elevate Jack O'Connell. So it's no longer, you know, just a really nice, pretty area, but it's actually a really nice playing field. And then this next one here, the next slide, is going to be some pictures. Thank you to Enrique's friend who was able to help get us some drone footage as well of what we're looking at as far as the property goes. And then also have some close-up photos as well that we've been submitting. And so part of the submission is not only why do we need the money, but how does the community back the money, or how would the community support this type of project as well? So I did have to draft a community engagement plan that looks at how would we ensure that our community is aware of this project and how would they be able to be a part of it as well. So a couple different things that I was looking at, what Lompoc did was they did a brick campaign. So when you walk into their field, they have this like really cool pathway and families were able to buy a brick, or individuals even, like some people wanted to be anonymous, some people didn't want to be anonymous. And so the ability to look at, you know, could we do a Guadalupe brick campaign as we're walking in? So if you wanted to be a part of Jack O'Connell history, you could write your family's name or something on there. The Shumash also gave a considerable donation to Lompoc as well. So that's another funding source we would start looking into. Their flagpole out there in Lompoc, and then also at War Memorial also has 2 nonprofits that bought into that. So there's a lot of things that will build into the overall big picture funding. But if you guys think about this as more of a pyramid, this initial grant of the 2 million would be like the base of our pyramid, and everything up from there would just continue to help enhance our features and what we're doing there. So it's a lot of information. Sorry, I've been talking a long time, but I just wanted to make sure that you guys had everything that I had so far on here. This is just a very general rendering. I know we talked about wanting to make sure there was a place for the sled and some of the other things. One of the things not having an architect is a lot of the design stuff I've been doing through my own, I guess, like loosely using the word graphic design and pulling stuff together. So a lot of these initial renderings will look very different as it goes through, but all of the documents that I am submitting with the Townsend group tomorrow into the source portal, which is for the state of California, I'll email to Hannah so she can send out to everybody, just so you guys have transparency of what I've been submitting and working on, and then hopefully we'll just keep going from there. So I will pause there. What questions do you guys have for me?
I want to applaud you for the.
Oh,
I'm mentally standing up.
Can you talk,
Thank you.
I'm sorry, can you talk more about the funding source for this first grant? Where's
So-
that coming from?
It's called the California Urban Greening Grant, which is an annual grant that the state of California puts on, with the overall premise of it as improving natural resources and also conserving natural resources. And then also there's a various different scores that they indicate on there, but one of their top areas is they do want to serve what they categorize as disadvantaged communities as their top level of priority of funding. And there's $26.2 million that'll be in the 2023 allocation of this grant.
And how did you determine the amount in terms of 2.5, you said?
It's 1.97. So I had to go out to vendors, and so I had to get vendors quotes for the 6-lane track, the artificial turf, the lights, the pour and play, and the sail. And then I just took all of the quotes and then took an average and then added 10% to that for calculations,
Yeah.
and then added in sales tax and then overhead, and then came up with that number. So
And I know we talked about, Mayor, you could probably chip in on this, but where's that money gonna actually be administered? How is it gonna be administered? Who's gonna be the administrative entity on this particular grant? Because I know, we talked about the city and sometimes they're just overwhelmed, to do allocations and payroll and all that.
So for this one, because it's been working with the Townsend Group, how we're submitting is on behalf of the city of Guadalupe. And so we'll have to, once we find out if we're getting it, but it's my understanding that everything that the Townsend Group is soliciting comes back to the city, right? For, so.
Has the city ever received this grant before, Mayor?
This grant?
Yeah. The town,
Not this,
I mean, not the
well, the Townsend work.
you're contracted with them, right?
Yes,
But the urban greening grant?
not that particular, but, the counterpart cost $1 million.
Back in 2009?
With a lot of money put into it, and then several grants from the state and different areas that we received. Even from Chevron, we received 250,000 when they had the oil well stuff going over there. So that particular grant, it's new to the city.
Correct.
But what I was looking at, that there's an effort, and I emailed you, Emily, regarding the city becoming a 501c3, to where the city, if somebody wanted to donate to the city, to specific areas within, say it's football, basketball, whatever, recreation, so that started today. We're looking at, the city of Lompoc has that. So what happens is that right now the city can't, it's not a tax deductible item when somebody wants to donate to the city.
Right.
So if we become, and a city can become a 501c3, and then that money then can go into the city, and this committee, this group that's formed, one person is from the city, the other ones are from different entities in the community, then they control where the money goes. So then you can earmark if it's going to this, if it's going to, other things. But there's, one of the things, and if I may comment, and I don't know which number this is, but it says active youth do better in life. And on the very back, on the very top left corner, it says active parents are associated with active kids. And if you go to and you did, a lot of you did to the football games, you see tons you have more people in the audience for Guadalupe. If you had something like that happen here, you'd have the grandparents, you'd have the uncles, you'd have the aunts, and we lose that. We lose that. So I think that, given that this is one of the priorities, there's that community networking to where those that don't have money can't get out.
Yeah.
And if they could walk to this, they could see what's going on with the kids, and then the kids can see what's going on, that somebody's watching them, somebody cares about them. So that's the social side of things, and I think that's really important. So
Definitely. So the urban greening grant is grant one. The other recommendation from Townsend also was to start looking at state earmark funding. And so I identified our 3 representatives that are part of our district, so really the top 2 would be Assemblymember Hart and Senator Lamone. And so I've been trying to get some time on their calendars with their offices. They're busy people. They have a lot of stuff going on, but they just had an open house for their new office in Santa Maria. It was open to the public. I didn't trespass. But I went and I brought this proposal, and I actually wrote a letter specifically, like, as representatives in our district, like, I'm asking you to take an interest in our community. And so I actually got a call back, and both offices have booked. And so that's exciting to be able to have some follow up. But who knows what will come of it, but I know that, just trying to get out there. And then at that open house as well, I wore my Parks and Recreation shirt for Guadalupe, and this lady came up to me and she's like, man, whatever you guys are doing out there in Guadalupe, like, the other cities should watch you, because you guys are doing some really good stuff. And I'm like, oh, that's really awesome. And it's been neat to see, like, we announced at our end of the season football and cheerleading party too. We got asked to host the Central Coast Youth Cheerleading exhibition. It sounds much bigger than it is, but I mean, it's almost 3,000 people come to that. And so
Wow.
it was really nice to hear like really positive feedback that Guadalupe did really well there, not just performing for the kids, but we were well organized and stuff. And so to have that opportunity, we're doing some cool stuff in the city, and it's nice to see that we're getting some of the biases people hold are starting to be broken down as they interact with us more on a regular basis.
Very cool.
Yay.
There was a federal grant too, and I think I sent you some information on it, but is there anything on that, any worthwhile? I didn't really get into it. I was
So there was a little bit on there. What I'm up against is time. Like I like
Mhm.
trying to find enough time to do all the legwork on this, like having to draw the maps by hand or having to do a lot of it. And so I didn't end up applying for that one, but I'm hoping like as you guys see stuff in the future, send it to me because I think we have a lot of foundational documents now that'll help move things along a little bit more. So this will be our first one, but now after meeting with the Townsend group, I was able to tell them what I'm looking for. And so she's able to send stuff to me pretty quickly. And then I'm able to turn it a lot faster that way. Pesky day job.
Yeah.
Innovation, should document everything via the whole process.
And I think in terms of getting the word out, I know, Mayor, I was at the veterans meeting and brought this, and presented to the guys there. And yeah, they were excited about it. And, you know, you can just tell that this is something that they want as well. And I think one of the members mentioned about a handball court, and I said, we'll do whatever we can, you know, to whatever's feasible and the amount of space that we have, because there's some other challenges that we all know, you know, parking's gonna be one. You know, where are people gonna park if we bring that size of a group? And we talked about this.
Gotta get on the electric.
But, you know,
bus.
so, but that's exciting that people are seeing this vision as well. That's what we gotta do, share the vision and get them on board. And once you get them on board and sell them the product, you never know where the support might come from this. It's gonna be good.
I agree. So happy.
So I met with a lady from Lompoc and she said it took them 5 years to get it all up and running, but she's like, you're ahead of where we were at this point. So I'm hoping we can shrink that down, but optimistic.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. They did a lot of the work, you know, and just sharing that with us is fantastic, right?
Yeah.
The way you get it done.
Fingers crossed.
Can we talk a little bit about the baseball part of that? Because I know, Mayor, you're talking about that at the veterans meeting a little bit, right?
Yeah, and I mentioned earlier, some of you may know that vacant field on the right,
Yeah.
that's the Sports Hall of Fame. We spent 87,000 on the concrete work, on the leveling and undergrounding of the water system, the drainage. And there's another 80,000 remaining for the irrigation and for the lot, for some of the fencing and for the, you know, for grass. In the past, that area where the barbecue pit was supposed to be parking. There was only 35 parking spaces there now. I think there may even be less. There was supposed to be 70, but they didn't have enough money. We didn't have enough money to make that parking. And there was one thought along Calle Cesar Chavez to actually create parking going parallel, which is kind of crazy because that's a narrow, you have to drive in and out of there. But, you know, the Sports Hall of Fame, we're still in existence, but we're not active. We have 3 or 4 board members died, so you can't ask them to do anything anymore. So, Right. But I think that the plan still is to have softball and baseball field on that side, to where you have the little kids play, because the other side is meant for.
Not putting that in the minute.
You can. So we're still gonna gear up for that, but I think this commission and the city should not say, well, that belongs to, you know, the Sports Hall of Fame. That belongs to the city. And you're looking at parking, look at other things that are going on. It would be nice to have a field to where kids can just go out and play. Even the field that's there now, you know, there's fencing problems, the existing field. It's hard as a rock, as those of you that have fallen down on the field know. There's still some gophers out there. The sprinkler system needs to be fixed up, and that, as some of you remember, we used to have girls softball here. We had 4 teams, and everybody would come from outside to play against Guadalupe here.
Yeah.
And we lost that, and now we have to go the girls have to go to Orchid to play ball. And so do the boys, the Little League boys have to go into integrated into Santa Maria, so this would be a spin-off in terms of getting those things back together. You look at, and I'm talking to the choir here, but you look at that, the complex and the track. There's people that walk around all the way around, but around the perimeter, but if you had a track there, you could, and especially an all-weather track, you can do that all the time, so.
And especially the lighting, I learned a lot about the options for lighting, that LED lighting that we could do now. It's almost $500,000 to put it all up there, but it would make it so safe on there, because right now, I know when we're out there later at night, like,
Yeah,
it gets really, dicey at times,
Yeah.
like you blink for a second, you're like, where'd the kid go? Or they're running to their parents. You're like, I hope that's the
yeah,
parent.
it's bad, yeah.
But I think it would really help elevate public safety out there as well, that it would improve significantly. So that 1.9 would include that full light up package too. And with LED, it's actually pretty cost effective out there now
Mhm.
too.
Is any of that related to fixing up that area where the play area is in the barbecue pit? Because that's still, there's nothing there. There's no irrigation lines or anything there.
So the play area would be that pour and play
Right.
stuff, but I didn't write in anything else in there in
Okay.
this initial one, but I think the big thing after this one is like starting to find out, okay, well, what would the softball field need in order to
Right.
get it brought up, and what do we actually need? And so we have a needs list, because the thing that took the longest was getting all the quotes. And so if I
Yes,
could get
sure.
those done ahead of time, that
Right.
would really help move stuff along a lot
Okay.
faster.
So this is due Monday, correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So almost I think there was like 15 elements with this one, and the actual narrative's almost 22 pages. So
Wow.
it's a lot of data that's captured
Right.
from the city. But this one will be our first one, kind of see how we shake out. But some positive indicators, obviously nothing's guaranteed, but Bakersfield qualified for almost the exact same project in 2022.
Mhm.
So seeing that this is an area of interest for urban greening, I think is kind of at least one good sign, as we pursue these types of opportunities.
Mhm. Great.
Yes, it's really good.
You do have a list of everything that's in, that you're proposing?
I can send you the
Yeah.
3-page budget.
Wow, yeah, please.
I mean, it's itemized down to like how many galvanized poles do we need for each of the, like, it's extremely detailed.
Okay.
And then like the turf, I learned a lot about grass, turf, like there's all the different types of like there's like the super low budget, and then there's higher grades up to like NFL level. And so everything I quoted was like mid-grade, like high school level, because I mean, even though we don't have a high school, I feel like if the kids are gonna go play at high school, we should at least make sure they're practicing on a field that's standard, so. Yes, I will send everybody, that'll be in the email I'll send to Hannah by Monday when we submit.
Sounds good.
This project doesn't affect any of the tree lines, correct?
Nope, no trees will be harmed. The only thing I did have to put in there is that we would attempt to safely and humanely relocate the gophers. I don't know if I'll be able to.
Yeah.
We're gonna have an asada.
Yeah, no trees are getting moved. The only thing that would be moved is the natural grass would be replaced with the turf. And then the gophers would no longer be able to have their kingdom of paradise out there.
The condos.
Their condos,
Yeah.
yes.
Mosquitoes.
Like in the future, like when you start actually designing it, one won't think that come into play.
So, based on the information that I got from Townsend Group was that if we were awarded the grant, we could see a check as early as this summer.
Wow.
And so, that would be. So So we'll see. And then, we'll need Yeah, so it could be, I mean, I don't want to say anything's ever necessarily super fast when it comes to government, but it
That's
is
fast,
faster
that's
than
fast.
what I was thinking, like it could be years down the line. So we'll see how this first
I
one
like to
goes.
think worst case scenario.
Yes.
How about letters of, reference letters or support letters?
So for this one, I just had to submit the community plan, but
Okay.
anything in the future, if we do have letters of support,
Mhm.
that would always be helpful to include as well. So, you know, whatever people feel like moved to be able to write, it doesn't have to be extremely, you know,
Mhm.
detailed, but more just like this would improve, you know, this is who I am, this is my position within the community, you know, whether it's a resident, you know, employee, whatever it is, and how this project could help improve their quality of life.
Right.
Anyone that has those, I can accept and have those on file for us as well.
Especially business owners.
Mhm.
Yes.
So I do really want to engage the GBA as well as we get a little bit further down the line, because I do think we need to get some active marketing, getting people out from Jack O'Connell down to the downtown strip, like understanding that there is food options, there's the Dune Center, fill up your car with gas, whatever it may be. So that'll be phase 2 of the project.
Yes.
Well, I didn't, I'm sorry, I took up so much time out of our meeting, but I wanted to just make sure you guys knew where we were on this, and then I'll keep you updated as I keep having updates available, and any of the meetings that I have, know that anyone's always welcome to dial in. The next one is gonna be with Representative Hart's office on the 27th, I think at 3 PM, but I'll send Hannah the invite, and if you guys wanna call in, it's gonna be on Zoom.
Did you meet, was Christina there when you were?
Yep.
Okay, good. Yeah. How about on the federal side? In the future, in terms of, you know, Carvajal set aside 1.7 for the Leroy, so.
Yeah. There's definitely, from what I've heard is that the state grants move much quicker
Mhm.
and they're easier to administer than the federal,
Right.
but that federal is definitely on my radar.
Okay, cool.
Well, let's move on to item number 9, other matters of importance. The Precinct Service Manager will discuss it during its discussion.
So there was two things that I kind of was throwing around in my brain today. Well, not just today, just the last like 2 weeks probably. Part of my hesitancy to plan anything further was because of my pending last day. Now that I know that it's gonna be a little bit more extended out, Joe, be quiet. I do want to, I know that council person Lizaldi asked that we do another movie night because of like the momentum that we had going with that. I think at this point it's kind of too late for November, and plus I'd like to do it more like seasonally so that it kind of goes like the movie goes with whatever the month is. So I want to try to plan to do one for December and still have Lobo Butcher Shop attend, and then hopefully a sweet affair, and then serve like abuelita or regular hot chocolate and coffee. And I'll work with them because I know that one of the things that Lobo, there was kind of like, it wasn't a big deal, but there was a miscommunication because we brought free candy and he was actually selling candy. So,
You selling candy?
yeah, he was selling like candy bars. So I'll be more specific with them this next time and just kind of ask like, okay, what specifically are you guys bringing? Because I want to bring X, Y, and Z, whatever. So I'm gonna try to plan something for December. I'll try to plan it more for like the beginning of December, because I think with holidays anyway, it's better to do it in the beginning of December, and like with my timeline of when I think things might happen, I think that would be best. Hopefully we'll have somebody on by that point so they can attend, and maybe I can even be like, all right, here you go. Good luck. I also do want to post something for the father-daughter dance because that happened last year in February, and I had posted it in November last year to start getting registrations. I do want to set it up differently this year because I know that there were a lot of people that wanted to attend past the deadline. So I'm just gonna have to think more like organization wise, like planning wise, how to make sure that even if you don't register past the deadline, that at least you can come. And I think that'll just have to be something more specific outlined in the details about like registering, that if you do plan to just show up, you won't get the certain things that maybe the other people that did pay and register ahead of time would get. But you still can attend, because I know that there wasn't a lot, but there was probably like 2 or 3 father-daughter couples that came in that thought that they could just show up, and I had to be like, we don't have anything for you guys. And I should have just let them go in because they could have still sat down, but I just didn't even really think about it at the time. So I mean, live and learn.
Was it cost to get in?
Yeah.
They still have to pay, right?
Mm-hmm. And it was more because
Yeah.
I pre-set everything. So like knowing how many people registered, I think the deadline was, it was really close to the date. So that was the other reason why I was like, come on, guys.
I wish we did everybody to register.
I know.
Yeah.
Nice.
But I think it'll just have to be something that I explain, like there's certain things that are given or provided to the people with like the food, or I know we had roses, we had I think what was the other thing? There was something else that we gave out. But just those like little knick-knack type of things wouldn't be given to people that don't register and pay ahead of time. But I still want to obviously have everyone be able to come that wants to attend. So I'll start kind of doing the planning on that, hoping that we get somebody soon so that I can involve them in the process and get them to start reaching out to some of the contacts that I've made. What else?
I would say for the registration, like, no, on the back end that we would still let somebody in if they didn't register,
Mhm.
but on the front end, still push must pre-register
Mhm.
because I don't know, it's too many years now working with the
You will not get this, and you will pay this much.
they will not register. I would just say, like, think in the background, yes, we would still let you in, but to the public, you must pre-register.
Yeah, exactly.
And are you gonna do it the Saturday after Valentine's Day again?
I haven't thought that far ahead yet. I mean, do you think there's like a specific time that is the best?
No, I think we just got discounted candy or something last time, didn't we?
Oh, yeah, that's true. I forgot about that.
No strategy besides save some money.
Yeah, that's a good
Good
idea.
candy's on sale, that's a good memory.
Not in chocolate.
Just out of curiosity, Hannah, how do you reach out to the different cultural groups here for that particular event? I mean, like
In terms of, like, what do you mean?
indigenous people or, and, you know,
That is always my barrier because number one, I don't speak Mixtecal, so I can't like go out into the field myself and be like, oh hey, like there's this event going on.
what?
I wish I spoke Mixtecal, that would be nice.
That part of the job description?
I don't even speak Spanish, sir. I struggle with my Spanish. I use Duolingo all the time. Is that what you said? Or you said bilingual? I don't know.
Or is, even if you did, well, I don't know.
I know last year I posted on a social media and I went downtown, and whenever I do the postings, I always do it in English and Spanish. So I tape them up in like all the windows downtown. And anyone that I posted it in their window, like I explained to them what it was. So that way if people ask them like, oh, what is this event? That way they would understand. I think I did reach out to my cop last year and sent them the flyer. But I don't know how they disseminated that information. I kind of just mentioned it to them. Did you have any?
Well, I don't know. I don't even know in terms of demographics. Does anybody know how many Mixtec or
Growing.
indigenous?
It is growing. There was none, now there's quite a few.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, is it a population that we're That's, I wouldn't say neglecting, but certainly not.
I don't know if
Not
it's that we're
neglecting, but it's just,
neglecting. I think it's just that they are kind of like their own
Yeah. they go to-
culture and they do like their own stuff kind of. So there's even certain like Mexican traditions that or not, I shouldn't say Mexican, I should say like Chicano traditions that are more like Americanized that I know they don't even, they're like, whatever, I'm not doing that.
Right,
Um,
and there's just multifacets in that.
Mhm.
But I was just curious in terms of, you have totally, acculturated to the indigenous and somewhere in between.
Yeah,
And it was almost impossible to get all these groups together, but maybe if you do something maybe specifically for that group, you know what I mean? I don't know if that would just create more separation, and I don't even know if that's,
I think like.
I'm just thinking, I'm sorry.
No, like, no, that's a good idea, cause like in Summer, they have like the Wildcat Festival.
Yeah,
So if somebody, I'm sure. You just gotta like come up to them sometimes, cause I see a bunch of them playing basketball.
Right.
Mhm.
right,
Yeah, and eat it. And I've given Gatorade, I just talk to them, say,
yeah.
just talk to them and I see they. I just,
Yeah, I just don't want them to feel isolated, I
Yeah.
guess, is a concern that I have.
Um,
And trying to be more inclusive in getting that particular population more engaged in what the city's doing and Parks and Rec. If you're part of the community, somehow we gotta reach out. And I don't have the answer, obviously, but and I don't
just,
expect you to, but I just throwing it out there, see if there's ideas,
Yeah.
that you can come up with to just start engaging that population and try to.
I think they're more involved in church.
mm,
Yeah.
I think it would have to like go more towards, you'd have to look at the things they're into, their culture, and kind of go about that way. In my head, the first thing that comes to mind is just some of the food. Everybody,
mhm.
and that's just something that everybody shares, just a human thing. I feel like,
Yeah.
so I feel like something that, can celebrate their food, or it gets people, talking, sharing, especially around dinner places.
Festival. That sounds good.
Somebody actually said that at the RERC meeting, I think, that they wanted.
Tamale festival, someone really wanted, or salsa or something, right?
That's what we were gonna try to do. The only hard thing is that when you start doing that kind of stuff, there's so many like red tape around food stuff that it's just really, really difficult. And that's why I started going more towards the direct. And I know some people are upset because they want to support brick and mortar business here, which I 100% also want to support. But I started going more in the direction of recruiting like food trucks because they already have all their permits and everything. You don't really need to do anything other than just gather them. Where when you start doing like temporary food facility stuff, there's so much detailed things involved in that I know for actually I'm not even gonna say that because I don't want to put it in the minutes. There have been certain groups that have historically not done things correctly. That's all I'm gonna say. So I think food is really difficult. Is it doable? For sure, but once you start getting into those type of groups, that's where it gets like even more difficult because there's the language barrier and then there's trying to like even just not the language barrier, even just speaking with people that are wanting to do like a temporary food booth, they don't understand all that goes into that. So then when you start explaining to them, it's immediate discouragement. I don't want to do that. That's way too much for me to have to handle. And I think there was one point when I was gonna try to do, or no, it was when I was talking to Fresa about doing the farmers market. There were some people that I had reached out to and I sent them the information of like, this is what you have to do if you're gonna have this type of food, if you're gonna sell these type of vegetables, plants, whatever. And right away they were like, oh no, I don't want to do that. So I think food is really difficult to do.
Especially the streets.
Mhm.
So thinking back to like the daddy-daughter dance, how relations improved with communication with the school at all and getting that
Not really.
population? Because so last week we went over and cheered at I forgot what they were calling it, Harvest Festival or
Mhm.
something. And there was a huge turnout of a lot, like a broad demographic of the school, but like, is there any inroad in getting them to help promote some of our stuff a little bit better?
Yes, we're gonna work on it.
In their own universe.
I think it's just gonna be what Joe and I have, or what Joe has said a lot, is that it's gonna have to be us printing out like a bunch of hard copy flyers and then taking them ourselves over there and giving them directly
If
to
I can
them.
maybe talk to our superintendent and see if I can get him to maybe get us to even bypass some of the red tape. You know, if it's the rec,
Yeah,
just do it.
yeah.
Or else.
And
It would be nice, because especially like thinking about the school, like they could really benefit from having the facility with turf and a track and everything, but I wanna get working relationships on a better track before we're breaking ground.
Yeah.
Out in the universe. Ground.
I wonder if I could be excused for a moment to run to the auditorium and get back. I have to set up for our open gym.
yes, sir, I will catch you up on whatever we talk about. One of the things that popped up right away when you said the cultural aspect specifically for the father-daughter dance is I will see if I can maybe get one of the folklorico groups I know to perform the region of Oaxaca. And I don't know if that would help, but I mean, I haven't tried.
Yeah.
It's worth a try to do
Worth it.
anything.
I just don't want this to die out. I want to
Yeah.
just keep encouraging us to go after that demographic and every aspect of what we do. You know, and
For sure.
No, like a Oaxacan cultural center in San Luis. I thought I saw something like that.
I think there is.
there's a strong.
I think
cultural-
probably contacting them and just
Getting
knowing that,
ideas.
just get some information, knowing that we do have a Mixteco community here and we'd like to reach out to them and involve them, and make them feel part of this community. You know, they might give us, they would send us in the right direction or send out the message to their community, because I'm sure they're on social media and because I'm part of their Mixteco social media, and I follow it, just to, you know, I'm just curious and what they do and what they say.
It's a good idea.
So.
You know, if I may add, those folks that were flooded, half of them were Mixteco.
Hmm.
Oh, really?
And Anupa didn't you work with the Family Service Center? So that Medea and that group, you know, they're connected to the Mixteco and the Oaxacanos. You'll see a lot of, regarding the father-daughter dance. Some of the young ladies that were down there that were Mixteco, they're of that age to where they would like to see, and that's that bridging to where they would be able to bridge the Latino, the Chicano, and the Mixteco, and the school needs to be part of this.
Yeah.
You know, you probably know that my wife she gets pissed off when the school doesn't do things. For instance, she called the school, we're doing a senior center Christmas thing. There's a choir that the school has. They're gonna go over and sing to the seniors. So there's that, they need to be told or informed that this is what's going on. And I think that, it's always been the case for a long time to where the school is in its own network, it's on their own silo, and then trying to get into that. Maybe, with Megan on the council and somebody else to, you know, to push that. But the school is important, and getting with Family Service Center and Medea and that group. The Galaguetza, which you talked about, in July, they have that huge, Oaxaqueño activity every July, and that's huge. And it would seem to me that we need to get a hold of one of those representatives to say, because they're connected, they know who's in Guadalupe, they know who's in Santa Maria. They all work in the Strawberries, they all know each other, so it's a matter of finding out those key individuals that can say, let's bridge that gap, that we're trying to bridge, here in Guadalupe. And then like Enrique mentioned, or Joe mentioned, you know, when you go to the basketball, sometimes they have their paid tournaments without, everybody's 5'2" or below. And they play hard.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And they
They're
come
good.
to Guadalupe, they're not afraid to come to Guadalupe, that's the good part.
No, they're at O'Connell like all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'd have to be like, hey, can cheerleading have half the
yeah,
court?
really.
Mhm.
Get out of the way.
Yes. And I'd love to see more participation too from Pasadena, because I think that that's another area that I don't want people to think that it's just a bedroom community here. Like you come, you live, you go and do everything else. Like I'd like to see people get more invested in the community here.
Mhm.
Because I know that there's just a lot of people that I don't think understand fully like how many great resources are here in our community. And so I'll, as we get the flyer and stuff, I'll post it out there as well, because I'd like to see more people active in our community. And
For sure.
Well, we do have 5 of them are at our volleyball team, volleyball open a gym. And I finally had to ask me, are you from town? Yeah, oh, we live in the middle. Oh, you do? Okay, all right, that's so good. Fire you. So how do you like it? Oh, I like it. Okay, good. So that's cool. So they're finding out slowly but surely. And I'm recognizing them slowly and surely. Yeah.
I'm pulling people out.
And I have to ask, are you from town? Oh, cool.
Switching gears to the gym. I think in the last like 2 weeks, Dr. Handel and myself and Todd have been meeting to finalize an agreement that has been taking a long time. And one of the things that I think is kind of like an oversight is the need for city to maintain that floor year round so that we don't have to have a contracted service come in as often to like refinish the floor. So one of the things that I reached out to Christina. Is Christina Rose the one that you've been talking to from Townsend? Yeah. So I reached out to her and asked her if there's any type of funding to purchase like a floor scrubber, because we just went to a Earnest customer appreciation barbecue in Slow. They provide like all of our janitorial stuff for us, but they have a lot of other resources too, and they're able to get a lot of products that aren't even like in their wheelhouse really. But because they have so many connections with so many different companies, they get really, really good discounted prices. So they have like a bunch of different types of floor scrubbers. They have like the manual ones that you would typically kind of think of, but then they also have the ones that are basically like they just do it themselves. Like you program in like the footage of the floor. Yeah, basically it's like a
Nice.
giant Roomba. And that's part of the other thing that we discussed when talking about maintaining the floors. It's not so much that we couldn't purchase like the materials to upkeep the floor, is that we don't have the staff. Like from what they've said, they don't have the staff, we don't have the staff, and that's why the floor always ends up being an issue, and then we have to contract somebody in. So I think a floor scrubber, and especially if we could get some type of grant so we don't have to pay for it out of general fund, to get like a high-end one that will do it itself. All you have to do is lock the doors, make sure no one goes in there. Yeah. And then just let it go.
The cat out of there.
Oh yeah, get the cat, our resident cat.
The cat's out in the hall right now.
How much does something like that cost?
I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. I know that. What was that? At least, if not more for like the higher end ones.
It may even be worth it. I don't know if it would be something after, like if we were able to form a nonprofit, but in there, like if we had to businesses, like a package that said, hey, you want your banner displayed in the gym, X number of people coming in over the course of the year, like sell it as advertising. And so, every year you're making enough money to refresh your Roomba.
Yeah.
Thing that, because for Bulldogs, when we put together like a sponsor package, like you give this amount, this is your recognition, you get your, we did logo on the website, banner, stuff like that. Was able to generate, like a lot of businesses wanted that brand recognition of being able to say, I'm a supporter of the local community. So
Yeah.
I don't know the legalities on it from a city perspective, but it might be something to say, okay, we hang 10 banners and that's our $10,000 that buys us our fancy Roomba. Whatever.
I also know that as of right now, the school has been using just like a portable scoreboard thing. Boys and Girls Club just got donated like this amazing scoreboard for inside of Leroy Park Community Center or Ron Estevio Community Center, whatever you want to call it. And then I think they said that the electrician was also thinking of donating his time to install everything pro bono. So I had talked to Roberto about that, and he was saying that he thinks that we might be able to get like the same type of thing donated. I need to follow up with him tomorrow because it kind of fell off my radar, but that just made me think of that right now. So that would also be a really good win for Guadalupe Recreation.
Should like to see the old scoreboard up.
Oh, to keep the old scoreboard?
Yeah, I'd like to check out
Probably
what it is.
obsolete now, they're probably saying.
Yeah, they try. I know that because that was something that I had, the electrician that we use for a lot of the stuff around here. I know he went and looked at it, and I can't remember exactly what he said was wrong with it, but I think he said like that it's not gonna work out.
Let it go.
We have one, it's like the 2x4, you pay like $1,000 for it,
Hmm,
and it's remote control, wireless. We haven't used it, so I don't know if we're gonna ever need it again, depending on the field.
hmm.
So,
Yeah, that would be nice. Also, not that it's like really recreation specific, but I finally got the chairs for the auditorium. So we have 240 chairs coming in, I think at the end of this month. And then there was 8,000 from ARPA money that was allotted for the chairs. And we ended up coming in not short, but like under budget. So I'm gonna use the remaining money to buy some tables. So that's something that I'm not sure if that would be like an additional charge to people. I almost feel like with the way that people already don't like the way that rates are, that it should just be included, but that's something that I don't know if council wants to discuss that, or if you guys want to discuss the possibility of having that be like an additional charge.
Well, when people need chairs, they rent it out. So the chairs are, what, $1 a piece?
From
From this guy across the street.
yeah, I think so.
And the tables are charged, so
Yeah.
it's the same thing.
That's
Just
true.
undercut him.
Yeah, but.
We don't wanna put him
I- I-
at risk.
Oh, I know, poor
Or
guy.
at least the same.
Yeah, same, so they
Same.
don't have to mess with it.
The only thing that I'm kind of hesitant about even adding any type of charge is I know that there's, I think at least Lompoc for sure, that's like part of the included, yeah, that's just part of the, what you pay for when you pay for everything. So I can always make that like an actual agenda item and we can talk about that. But also you had mentioned the senior classes at senior center. I don't think that those are happening anymore. I know that Yolanda, who was volunteering and doing them, had mentioned that she might not do them anymore because there just wasn't anybody really showing up. I think there was the times that I went or like watched, there was only like 3 or 4 people there. And then this I don't know if it was last week or the week before, but she said that no one showed up. So she would just be waiting there and like no one would go. But off of that, Hancock is starting their community classes in January. So they'll be advertising like on their own, but they're going to send me all of their flyers and stuff. So that way I can advertise it on our social media as well. So they'll have like meditation classes, painting classes, and they're all free to the community. All you have to do is like go and register on Hancock. And I think one of the things that I'm probably gonna have to do with whoever comes in is walk them through the steps of like how to register. So that way if people want to and they just like don't know how to, either they can come in and she or he can register those people on their behalf, or at least like walk them through like, okay, this is how you register. Cause I think you do have to have like an actual student profile to register even just for, community classes. So that'll be like a good addition. And again, it's just understanding that we personally don't have the bandwidth to do everything. And so reaching out to these other organizations and groups that do have the bandwidth and do have the time and the resources, creates these really, really good connections that we can hopefully use in the future too, eventually. But I think that is it.
Questions?
Yeah.
Update on, as Mujeres Parks have been hearing a lot of, people on social media, hitting the skate
So-
park and they have no idea that, they have no idea that what's going on, so just, I don't comment back, but I'm like,
I was gonna.
I saw
comment
that
back
one
and say, listen, we had a whole public thing, a whole everything. People were there to watch to see where we were gonna put everything. And if you guys would pay it, that's when I decided, maybe I shouldn't answer this.
I know the minutes for those Central Park meetings I always put them in my monthly report. And then I know that they're supposed to be breaking ground. I believe it's in March of this next year. I'll have to double check. But to those people, if you are watching, please watch city council meetings and please watch recreation and park. Well, if you're not watching right now, then you won't know.
I showed a lot of people, I went a lot of places, showed them this was going on, and said, oh, we bet, no, trust me, this is, the park happened, right? This is gonna happen next.
so. So when, people were talking about the lights, I got my phone and I recorded it. I went on YouTube, in front of my TV and I recorded the meeting, parts of the meeting and the proposal, and I put it on Facebook, and it got a good response.
Yeah.
It was a very good response, so. And that's maybe what you kind of gotta do, is probably just get a little section of it, not the whole meeting, but, highlights of the meeting, important points, especially when it's, directly people.
They're trying to say we don't do this and we don't do it. We've already taken care of it. We're ahead of you
I
guys.
think, and I have seen those comments, like I do look all the time because there's a lot of things that I feel like you have to kind of take out like the tone of it and really read it and be like, okay, this is like a legitimate either question or like suggestion or request or whatever. So I do stay up to date with those. I'm just hesitant to respond.
Oh, yeah, don't
respond.
Because even like even if I were to use my own personal social media to respond, I'm just like very hesitant because if you respond to one person, then everybody else starts coming in and it just gets really hectic. So, I would say just if there are people watching this meeting, please like spread the word to be more involved in council meetings. You don't have to like get up and speak all the time. You can literally just sit and watch, whether it's here or from home on YouTube. Those meetings are really, really informative, and I want to say like 98% of the questions that I see on Facebook are answered in the city council meetings, or even in our recreation and park commission meetings. So
That's already.
mhm.
So if we break ground in March, would we be able to do the naming unveiling in March too? Cause that is Women's
That is a
History.
What? Ooh,
So it'd
that
be a
is a
nice
good
little
idea.
tie-in.
I didn't know that.
It is Women's History Month.
That'd be a big thing on
There's
Saturday.
the minutes from the last meeting, I don't know, Hannah, these are the ones you send out, right, for the Central Parks? Hannah? Meeting minutes?
Yes.
Yeah.
So those are in my monthly
yeah.
report for city
I was
council.
thinking maybe we should just put that as a regular item to discuss on the future agenda meeting.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, we can do that.
Monthly update.
I'm surprised you didn't ask about this part. I was waiting for you to ask.
Yeah, if we're gonna break ground in March, I would want, if we could do the name unveiling in March too and tie it into Women's History Month, that would be my recommendation.
I think the only thing for that, not that it's a no, but
Tell me no.
no. In our next meeting, I think we need to nail down the not qualifications, cause we had talked about last time that we would pick a new person every month or not month, every year and put them on the plaque, but we never really
Oh.
decided like what the
Criteria.
the
was.
criteria was gonna be. So I'd say kind of just brainstorm that and we can talk about it when we bring up Central Park in the next meeting.
Basically, any major contribution to the community. It's kinda-
So
maybe
does it have to
2023
be
is that
somebody that lives in Guadalupe, that
No.
was
no.
born in Guadalupe,
Like,
like?
just love, that loves this town, that really just makes it great.
It donates a
contribution.
couple of $100,000.
Yeah. That's always good, yeah.
But maybe 2023 is our year to unveil like the name, the park, and then 2024 is our
Would be the
year to
first.
name our first person.
So-
Yeah,
So we don't have to
That
get,
idea too. I like that idea.
cause
So
I mean,
is
Mark will
this,
be
is
here.
this a
before.
a lady, or is it anybody, or is it?
I think it's anybody.
anybody?
I will say it's
I thought
nice.
it was gonna be for a woman specifically,
Yeah, that's-
because all of
Like-
our other parks are male, are named after
This-
males.
For women.
Yeah,
That's for women.
for women.
For women, yes. But cause I could also see like for each year, like I've also seen awards like for people that have given a significant contribution in advancing like, you know, if I saw a individual who was Hispanic win for the Black Engineer of the Year award, because they really invested a lot in building this group. So I like the Las Mujeres for the name, but I think like if someone really came through.
Yeah.
I don't know what that'll look like, but if,
Mm.
you know, someone gave cheerleading for example.
But that's what I
$500,000 in advancing women and that person was a guy.
That's where I
Order,
feel like
order,
it
order,
almost.
order. So
I agree, but I think that's where we almost would have to come up with some type of criteria, even if it's like more broad, just so that there's no one that's like, well, how come I didn't get picked? Cause I already know that that's gonna happen. at some
Someone
point.
will wanna be picked, yeah.
I think there should be to a degree, I mean, not everybody knows everybody, but it makes a difference more when it's a familiar name.
Of course, yeah.
Rather than like, I don't know that person, like respect to Jack O'Connor, I'll never know him, I've always
Mm.
played on that field. But it's just, it means more when it's like, that's a member of my community, I see them maybe at the, you know, Must Times Market or whatever it is, it's just like. That you recognize more with that, and I
Yeah.
think
Identify, yeah.
yeah, it probably should be a woman just because I would be like,
At least the
Las
first one.
Mujeres
Oh,
Park,
yeah,
and
for
there's
the
like-
first several, I would just say, let's not forever exclude, there could be a circumstance.
Yeah,
But I think the name unveiling in 2023, that would be like, if we could unveil the name, and then in 2024, we would name our first person.
I going off of what he said, sorry, I was listening to you, but I don't know, my brain doesn't. Yeah, it was worrying in there. Going off of what he said, I think like Ron Esteville Community Center is like a really good example of that,
Yeah.
in that he had like a whole legacy. Like you don't hear Ron Esteville and you're like, oh, like who? I don't even know who that was. Like everybody here knows who Ron Esteville is, and not that it has to be like that impactful every single time. But I think it does need to be more than just like, oh, this person donated X amount of money. Like,
Yeah.
yes, money is good, but if they're not like, if they're not consistently involved, like it goes back to Jack O'Connell. I'm assuming that he's the one that procured the money for.
He was
He
the
was.
superintendent for the state, he was a representative for this area, we were gonna change it. But there was a Jack O'Connell Foundation that said, you change it, you're gonna lose.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
He's still alive too, I found that researching, about.
That doesn't mean we can't change it.
See, and that to me is like the biggest point is that like he's still alive and like he's not involved at all. Like he has no idea what's going on with that
Does the
park.
foundation still exist?
What's that?
Does the foundation still exist?
I don't-
Probably.
We should,
I'm pretty sure it
Hey.
does, but
Yeah.
I was surprised to learn, I was like, who is this guy? And, you know, does he know his park is not
Falling
in great
apart.
shape? And, did I consider reaching out? Maybe, but I haven't done that yet, you know, like, I think
I
there's,
think you just should have pointed it.
yeah. But yeah, I
Something
like
on
having
YouTube
someone
and
that
it's
has
just
strong
sort of-
ties, cause
Because
that
I
was really
think-
moving at the ribbon cutting at Boys and Girls Club when all those like the stories and everybody was there. That was really impactful.
I think one person that I would nominate just off the top of my head in that regard is Shirley Boydston. Like she's like the first person that I think of in terms of like women, and not, I think she has been very impactful in terms of like being at all the city council meetings when she's been able to, and like being active in her community. And she's a really good example of regardless of like your age or anything, like still being involved. And I'm sure that there's like a lot more women here, but I think that's kind of where it goes back to what I was saying about like Ron Estabile. It needs to be somebody that like is impactful and is not just like was here for like a year and donated like $10,000 and then left, and then they were like, okay, like
I
bye.
like that recognition though, because it's like, so much of this is tired, like thankless work,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
yet you have people still showing up. Cause it's like, that's what they're about.
They
You know,
believe in the community.
They don't have the, thousands of dollars, but they have their time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
Do you have if I may interrupt, Chair, do you have a standard yet in terms of how somebody were to apply for the name recognition?
No, that's what we were kind of talking about right now. Where I think there does need to be some type of like criteria to either be nominated by someone else or like even to nominate yourself if you wanted to.
We have when we did the veterans naming for the new Pasadena, there's 20-something streets that are gonna be named after veterans. We had a nomination form that says, you're nominating this person. What's the criteria for nominating a street after that individual's name? And that would be the same token here for this, for this Las Mujeres. So what is it? What's the criteria? Well, I've been here for 2 years. Well, that doesn't get it, to me, but
Right.
there needs to be some kind of checkpoint you can actually start grading.
Yeah.
So I think when we got those initial submissions with how we came up with Las Mujeres, because there were so many, like those stories were like, I was born here and, and then awesome, like life stories people gave and they're like, well, we can't name it after one. Yeah, I like the idea of criteria, and then, 2023 is unveiling, 2024, we name our first person and then have the criteria of what we want it to be. Significant contribution to the community.
Yes, for sure.
So did you determine in terms of how you're gonna recognize them with some type of plaque mounted in the wall and somewhere? In a quick bio, because, you go up there, you see a name, unless you're here, right, and you know that person, you're not gonna know, but it's just this quick bio. I mean,
I'm almost thinking that it should be like an engraving plaque with the names, but then maybe just each year. Have you seen like at like wildlife parks or whatever, how they'll have, even at like when you go out to also Flaco, how they have like the plastic, like the plastic thing they have in there about the animals. It could be something like that where we just have like some type of
Maybe we can change every
year to have the bio.
I've seen QR codes.
Well, you would still engrave the name, but then each year the bio would just be like,
that year and then
Yeah.
next year, the next person.
Yeah.
Picture of the QR code and it gives all their.
Yeah, like people would
Ooh.
scan the QR code and it would be the same QR code every year because it would direct you to this, like the city's website or something.
Ooh.
And then has their bio
That's a
and
good
then swap
idea.
it every year.
Good idea.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Move it on up. in the world.
That is a good idea. All right, and we can talk about this more. I'll bring this,
To the next person.
Yes. I'll bring this as an agenda item for the next meeting, so we can talk about this more, but
March coming.
I know March will be here
Yeah.
soon.
that is true.
So it's like this topic, it's gonna bring around in March, so I can say that.
Let me
That's
double
what I'm at.
check,
That's
let
what
me
I'm
double
at.
check tomorrow and then I'll email you guys.
Oh.
Yes, I will email you guys tomorrow and let you know.
I would say it's gonna be breaking down soon.
Yes.
Coming to a Central Park near you.
With a fancy name.
Mhm. Okay, I think that's all I have.
Well, I think we've been to the commission request comments and meeting reports. If not at this time, we're looking for a motion to adjournment.
I still move.
We have a motion, we have a second. Do I second that motion?
I'll second it.
Yeah.
You're official now.
All in favor signifying by saying aye.
Aye.
This meeting is now adjourned. Thank you for inviting us.